Hello, everyone. Tony from Hack the Movies here. I'm not doing too hot. I actually feel very hot. I'm a little under the weather at the moment, but nothing could stop me today because we have a very special guest today on a very special live episode. Before we get into the meat of it, I just want to announce a few things. Over on Patreon, there is now a Sleepaway Camp commentary track. Real quick, Lauren Soto, who was in the Human Centipede episode, was bartending at an event where Felissa Rose was. And she told me she had no idea who Felissa Rose was. And I was like, oh, good. You know what? Come over. We'll do a commentary track. I'm making you watch Sleepaway Camp blind. And it was an experience. So you definitely want to sign up for Patreon for that. And also tomorrow, the Deep Rising episode will be up early. Unless something goes horribly wrong. It should be up early. This is one of the most requested episodes I've ever gotten. So yeah, it should be up. You will get them early, and it'll be a lot of fun. Now, today, we're talking about Shoot 'em Up. This is going to be a full-on review. Maybe one day I will come back and do a full-on review in the classic style. But there's a reason I'm talking about Shoot 'em Up today. And that's because it's getting a follow-up. We got a very special guest in a minute, but I want to show you the potential, or I hope it happens. It's currently being kickstarted. More on that in a second. But let's watch the trailer for Blast 'em Up.
I've been thinking. Doing good is just good business. Sorry.
Face and body implants on. Morph activated.
Think of all the things that think these days. Everything.
What a way to make a living.
Wait, gets worse.
Wow. That looks incredible. It looks great. So I'm going to bring the director of Shoot 'em Up on in a second. But remember, this is a live episode, and the name of the game is Super Chats, baby. If you have a question for Michael Davis, leave a super chat. We will read it. I would also like to give a shout out to Chango TV for becoming a YouTube member, and William Phillips for becoming a YouTube member, and Sad Boy Gothfart. That's a great name. I have like a really good director on here, and Sad Boy Gothfart has gifted 5 subs over on Twitch. All right, let's bring the man in. Hello, Michael Davis. How are you?
Hey, Tony. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you showing me the trailer. Anyway.
Yes, Michael Davis, director of Shoot 'em Up, one of my favorite action films of all time. But you have a bit of a history, and I want to get into that. Oh, wait, sorry. Before we get into history, if you really like that trailer, we're going to talk more about Blast 'em Up at the end. But if you can't wait, you can go over to Kickstarter right now and donate You can donate to
and
Blast 'em Up.
the link is in Tony's description, or if you can't do that, I have a blastemup.com, and there's a link to the Kickstarter. And just do the little pitch so we can get it out of the way and we can get the show is, you know, that I love doing all the crazy things with the gunfight, all the action that shoot them up. But I love aliens, robots, spaceships. And because I couldn't really get the rights to do shoot 'em up too, and I've been teaching myself all this great animation stuff, I wanted to make a follow-up called Blast 'em Up that has all the cool things you could do with blasters. And the other thing is that I am animating it all by myself. Everything you saw in that trailer, I did all by myself, from the animation, lighting, character, modeling, and I taught myself. I can also teach you with some of the rewards from the project. But I just love making stuff, making action. And so I'm trying to raise money for the voice actors and some mocap and all the things I can't do that I have to pay for, hard drive space, models, is really why I'm doing the Kickstarter. Otherwise, I'm doing it myself, animating it myself. And if you could back me, I would really appreciate it. So that's my pitch.
That's good. That's good. I want to talk more about Blast 'em Up toward the end. I mean, there might be one handsome Italian actor who might end up on it, but
well, I don't know. At some point, do you want to show them?
No. We'll circle back to that.
Okay, there is.
I want to tease them. We got to tease them. We got to want them coming back. More.
Really sci-fi Tony related. I'll show you later in the show. That's awesome.
Now, some of you might, if you've only seen Shoot 'em Up, some of you might be familiar with your other work. I was looking at the IMDb. You apparently wrote the Prehysteria trilogy.
Oh, yes. Well, that actually, can I comment on this? This actually led to my first directing job, because I had written this script for Charlie Band, who did all the, Puppet Masters, and he had a kids division that did this. Yeah. And I had written this script called Beanstalk, which was a modern day Jack and the Beanstalk, and I really wanted to direct it. And he said, well, maybe. But the second Prehysteria, I didn't write the first one, unfortunately. I wrote the other two. But Charlie calls me up and says, the director's starting in a week on Prehysteria 2, and he hates the script. Could you do a rewrite in a week? And I did a rewrite in a week, and it was pretty good. And then he calls me because they kept the same sets up for Prehysteria 2. They're going to roll right into Prehysteria 3. And he said, well, Michael, we're starting Prehysteria 3 in 4 days. If you rewrite it in 4 days, I'll let you direct Beanstalk. And that's what I did. So I got to, sorry, I keep getting beeped on this thing. That's how I wrote my way into directing. But
nice.
It was pretty nice. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows Charlie Band, but he was this notorious guy. A lot of times he didn't pay people off. One time somebody put a bomb in his car, so I didn't park in the studio parking lot because they were after him. He did all these crazy things. If you want to ask me Charlie Band stories, I got some great ones. But he was nice enough and was always nice to me, and he let me direct my first movie.
Yes. I feel like a lot of people in my audience grew up with these films, so I thought that'd be funny to bring up. And then I think we talked about this before. We chatted like a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
You did some writing on this movie, but I don't think the final product has a lot of it. Double Dragon.
Now, okay. Well, so, I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago, someplace did a collector's edition of Double Dragon.
Oh, why not?
And my partner on it, at early in my career, my great friend Peter Gould from film school, who now co-created Better Call Saul and really super talented. He and I did the rewrite on this, and we thought the movie didn't turn out too well. But they asked us to do a commentary on this collector's edition. And we thought that we could be really sarcastic and talk about the things that we were really disappointed in the film. But we found out that the film, for some people, is very beloved. And they wanted us to celebrate the movie. And we had no idea that we thought this was like a blotch on our careers. And we found out that a lot of people really liked it. And so, but it's okay you bring it up. I laugh because it's just a rewrite. And,
we covered this on the show. This is apparently my co-host Joey C. It's one of his favorite movies. He loves it.
Cool. But, here's the funny thing: how things work is so. Don Murphy, who ended up producing Shoot 'Em Up, right, and really made Shoot 'Em Up happen. I would not have made Shoot 'Em Up if Don Murphy hadn't gone to bat to me. But he was a producer on the movie. He had gotten the IP, but he had ended up giving the rights, or partnered with the Shaw brothers. So he wasn't really involved in the production of it, right? And so Peter and I go to the premiere of Double Dragon, and we'd gone to film school with Don.
Yeah.
We're at the premiere, and Don says, "Well, what are you two guys doing here?" We said, "Don, we did the rewrite."
So you just totally forgot you rewrote it?
Yeah, and then, okay, so the other thing I will go on is, so then we got rewritten. And some of the things that we really cringed at is one of the actresses, one of the bad guy chicks who's fighting Alyssa Milano.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Okay, it was one of my favorite lines, unfortunately.
Right? Yep. And then they wrote this line. Alyssa goes, "Well, generally I put people in the hospital." And it's not even a good quip. But here's the thing. So Peter and I are going, "Oh my God, why did this guy write this bad stuff? This guy, he really must be terrible." This guy went on to create That 70s Show.
That's smart. That's good.
And it just goes to show you never doubt that somebody is going to end up being awesome, even if their best work isn't. You just never know. Isn't it crazy? That's like, I love that show.
I know. I love That 70s Show. But yeah, Double Dragon, more dumb than fun. I like it. Yeah. Steve really likes it.
I know I keep distracting you, but I knew we were in trouble. They hired this rock video director, and how they do a table read. They get the real cast together. Well, there were the team of kids that were sort of the rebels. Were called the Power Corps, like the Marine Corps, right?
Oh.
And you spell the Marine Corps CORPS.
Yes.
So when we're doing the table read, one of the guys who was reading the description kept saying the Power Corps was the Power Corpse, right? And then nobody, whether the producers or the director, would step in and say, "Can you pronounce it Corps like Marine Corps?" So they pronounce Power Corp. They said it a 100 times during this table read, and Peter and I are just so embarrassed, right? And then the movie takes place in this LA that has collapsed after a giant earthquake. Well, where do you think they're going to film this? Where? LA still would be good because you can get the backdrop. They filmed it in Cleveland.
Oh, that's a great place.
No, because one of the producers wanted to be the hometown boy does good. And now you have to pay per diem and all this, putting up all the stars and the cast, all this extra money. The film crews are okay in Cleveland, but they're not like Hollywood film crews, right? And it just costs way more money to go to Cleveland. And you're just like, what are you guys thinking of? I don't know. It's crazy.
Sounds like it was
crazy.
Now, I remember when Shoot 'Em Up came out, I looked up who you were. Like in 2007, and I found this movie, Monster Man.
Oh, okay.
Which I haven't rewatched yet. Oh God, I really want to rewatch it because I remember my friend who saw Shoot 'Em Up with me. I saw that movie. I saw Shoot 'Em Up like 3 times in theaters. We were like, well, let's watch Monster Man, and I remember we were just laughing our asses off. I think I might have spoiled it in a different episode. I think it was the Jeepers Creepers episode.
It's okay.
Yeah, because Jeepers Creepers, they have that part where they're running over the creeper over and over again. And I think we had to tell Casey, I'm like, no, there's a movie called Monster Man, where it literally ends with them running over the monster with a monster truck until the sun comes up. And then it's just a puddle. Right. It's a really good time. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere at the moment, but you guys should.
I have to tell you, I don't know what's happening. But 3 months ago, I think there was a company in Germany also released a collector's edition of Monster Man. Can you believe that? I mean, anyway.
I could not believe that.
But can I tell you the ultimate compliment or ultimate story? So this kid, Eric Youngman, you can see him in the poster there, who plays the lead. He's in a Starbucks, and there's a homeless guy in the Starbucks. And Eric is getting his sugar, and the guy, the homeless guy, comes and starts getting sugars because that's what he's going to keep in his nutrition. And he sees Eric, and he goes into his face and goes, "Where's Fuckface?" And that's the name of the monster. His face is so right. And I also, yeah. And so Eric knows what he's talking about. Where's Fuckface? And Eric is like, whoa. And he finally figures out that this guy saves up enough money that once a month he gets a motel room or a hotel room to clean up and relax and have a warm night. And he watched Monster Man, his one night a month that he got to kind of relax. He could choose anything on the cable TV in the room, and he watches Monster Man, and he loves it.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for those watching, I just checked. Monster Man is on Amazon Prime. You can just watch it right now.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, I know it's like, so I did these teen movies 8 days a week and 100 Girls, 100 Women.
Yeah.
But there is a sort of, I always have these kind of raunchy sex jokes. My favorite part in Monster Man, I don't want to say, but it's in the middle of the movie, and there's a sleep talking scene that goes up to another place that is one of my favorite scenes I've ever done. You remember that one?
I don't remember that one. I need, like I said, it's been a long time. I need to rewatch the movie.
I was just going to say it has something to do with the roadkill.
I don't remember. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Okay, when you get there. It is awesome. It's one of my favorite things.
But yes, shoot 'em up. Now, I didn't know this movie was coming out. I think my friend Zach years ago messaged me. He's like, hey, we're going to go see this movie called Shoot 'em Up. And I'm like, what is that? I'm like, is that something that's out now? And I looked it up. I'm like, oh, Clive Owen. He was on like The Rise at that point.
He was big. Everybody wanted him at that time.
This is like post Children of Men, I believe, right?
No, it was right before Children of Men.
Right before Children of Men. Okay. And then Paul
and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it was Paul Giamatti post Sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already liked Paul Giamatti because, like, I watched the Howard Stern movie when I was way too young. So I'm on board with Paul Giamatti. He's great.
Yeah, and you know what? He was bugged by me because I thought he was kind of unathletic, but he was like on the swim team and the wrestling team at Brown.
Yeah.
And he really was a big athlete, even though his dad was like the head of the theater department or something.
Yeah.
You know? And remember, wasn't his dad part of like the head of Major League Baseball too at one point?
I think I don't know much about the background.
Okay, well, I think he was, but he really wanted me to know that he was very athletic. And that even though he played this kind of nerd, sideways guy, he actually pretty was. You should see him leap out in that opening sequence there. We filmed in this old train station, and they had these big trenches where they actually had the tracks, and he was, taking cover underneath there, and then he pops up. He's really athletic. He was awesome.
For those of you who don't know, Shoot 'em Up tells the story of a guy named Smith who loves carrots. I'm going to ask a question about that soon. He ends up stumbling into this whole conspiracy. This woman gives birth, she gets killed. He's got to save. There he is, killing someone with a carrot.
Yes.
He's got to save this baby who loves heavy metal. It's explained in the movie. From these assassins, led by Paul Giamatti. Along the way, he gets help from a prostitute played by Monica Bellucci. And they have to get into a bunch of shenanigans to figure out why they're after this baby. There's actually a pretty fun little conspiracy angle to it, but it is packaged within this over the top action. I love gunplay in movies. I was growing up with like Robert Rodriguez. I used to watch like Desperado on like a loop. Sure. Leon the Professional. But what I liked about this movie is because like so I saw this my freshman year of college, and I was getting more into like comedy stuff. And this was a perfect blend of like action and comedy, and actually inspired some of the stuff I've done. Like I did a mini web series years ago called Mummy Cop.
Oh, cool.
And that was very comedic, very wacky, but I had like some over the top gun stuff in there. Let me just walk through a couple of my favorite action scenes here. Oh wait, by the way, this actor, he keeps showing up in movies I review. I don't have his name written down though.
He's a Canadian Toronto actor. I've forgotten his name, but he had such a great face.
Yes,
cast him, and they have like 5 lines in the movie, but they're cinematic. These guys.
Yes. Hold on. I will get his name in a second, or else it's really going to bother.
They're a real pleasure to work with. And then the other guy, his sidekick, they're not quite like it, but I always like those two hoodlums in 101 Dalmatians, the tall guy and then the sort of roundish guy.
Oh, yeah.
I always like, it's also kind of like what is Winton Kid in Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes. Real quick, Julian Richings, that's his name.
That's right, Julian. Yeah, he had
Julian
a very
Richings.
sophisticated Julian, but he's this
He
guy.
he showed up in a bunch of movies we've done, but he's famous for being the first actor to play Three Finger, which is the main hillbilly in the Wrong Turn series.
Nice.
Didn't come back for the sequels, but he was the first one. Also, real quick, did you know the wrestler Christian was in this movie?
Yeah, because my friend Jeff Katz, who was the director of development at New Line, and it was Jeff's idea to cast Paul Giamatti. It was Jeff's idea to put the Looney Tunes ringtone on the phone. He was friends with this guy, and he said, "Can you put him in the movie?" And I did, and it was totally fun. I mean, I wish I had done more with him, but yeah, totally. But you picked it out.
Yes. When I was like researching, I'm like, Christian Cage. I'm like, wait, was he in that? I'm like, did he have a role? And then I watched the movie last night, and after it was done, I was like, wait, where was Christian? I had to like look up.
Yeah, you had to look. I know, but
I did. I found like so this is when he was in TNA. It was when he wasn't in WWE, and I found like this promo he did because he had just gotten injured, and he's like, I wish I could be there at the pay-per-view, but I'm like, I'm shooting a scene for this movie with Clive. And he made it sound like it was such a big deal. Then you watch the movie and he's just standing in the.
But, if I had more time, the thing about it is directing any movie is all about time management.
Yeah.
And for me to do another shtick, it might be an hour of time to do the whole new setup, and that might mean that I won't get the cool extra angle I needed to add the kinetic editing for another scene. And so that's they Variety used to do this thing where they would celebrate directors that had the 100-day schedule, the 100-day directors, and I'm like, that sucks. You should get the guys that can direct a movie in 12 days. It's much harder to do it in 12 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, look, I learned from behind the scenes video of David Lynch, when someone tells you you're going over time, just yell at them until they get scared. I don't know if you've ever seen that video.
Yeah, but my producer was this guy from Israel, right?
Okay.
And this is what he was telling me about Hollywood agents. He goes, I'm not afraid of Hollywood agents. I was in the war and I killed a man. I'm not afraid of agents. And so I was afraid of him, So I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. But he wasn't the producer on this one. On my earlier movies, did this. But,
okay.
But everybody still, was very, very tense. But the thing, like I divert. But when I first went in, I had this production meeting at New Line, and they had this guy Leon Dudevor, who was the head of New Line's production. And this guy was this really tough, grim guy, and he was in a wheelchair because he used to be an AD, and on the set there was some terrible accident, and he lost the use of his legs.
Oh,
so you can kind of picture him not only be this tough guy, but he was extra tough because he had a tough life. And he said, Michael, you do not want to see me on the set because that means I'm really mad because you're behind schedule or you're spending too much money. So at the last week of shooting a shoot 'em up, there he is in Toronto, Leon, right? And he's there and he goes, look, don't worry. I'm not here because I'm mad. I'm here because I want to see how a great set is run. My other two movies are going way over budget, and you're getting more setups, more shots in a day than both those movies put together. And one of them was a Brett Ratner movie. And so he was there at the end to see something that could cleanse him of the bad experience he had of the other two productions. But
are you allowed to say which movies they are?
You could probably do it from there. I think it was one of the last Rush Hour movies. That
okay.
But the thing about it is Don Murphy used to say to me, it doesn't matter if you go over budget or you get labeled as a guy that has to have way more money. All you have to do is have a movie that's a hit. But I'm like such a Boy Scout, I can't be that person. Like he said, the first thing you should do is you should go nuts and you should break a chair over a prop or something to show that you shouldn't get mad. You shouldn't cross Michael Davis, right? And I had heard even Steven Spielberg sometimes makes it a point. I could be wrong, but fires a person on the first day just to get people on their toes that it could happen to you, right? And I can't be that guy. I'm just too nice.
No, this is good. This is good. Next time I film an episode, I'm gonna just fire someone. I'm gonna fire Crystal. Your days are numbered, Crystal. Next
But
time we do an episode, I'll be like, "You're fired, Crystal. Get out."
here's the trick: the people, especially when you're on location,
Yeah.
this is what John Ford used to do. The
Okay.
Hollywood office would call and say they want to know when he gets his first shot off, right? So let's say the call time is 6 a.m. Well, he'll get the camera and he'll do a close up of the beer glass, right? And then the AD can call up, "Hey, John got his first shot off at 7 o'clock, right?" And then he'll take all this time and he won't get off his next shot until after lunch. But the studio doesn't know that because he already got his first shot off. Right? Pretty smart.
It's pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go through some of my favorite moments in this movie. The beginning, the first shootout. Clive Owen has a scene where he after like the actions kind of died down, he's introduced to the villain, and he goes like, "Fuck you, you fucking fuck." Then he strategically shoots a sign, and then Paul Giamatti shoots the sign too, just to spell "fuck you" too back to him.
Right, it was "fuck you," and then it went to "fuck you" too, which I really made me happy because it's pretty funny. You go, "That's great. He made the sign "fuck you," right? And then it wasn't, and that was in the script, but it wasn't until I was storyboarding and like 2 weeks before I said, I could actually have a double joke here. And so it was glad because, sometimes you get the script and it's embedded in your head. It can only be this. And when you can be creative close to production, you're always happy. And so I was glad because it came up late in the game and we could do it.
Oh, I've like the few narrative things I've done. I've definitely like come up with like gags and stuff while filming and be like, wait, we're changing this to do this because I just thought of it.
You know what? I actually I'm not as courageous as that.
Oh, okay.
Because if it's not in the plan, I get worried whether it's going to throw me off. And I'm always just thinking about my list and how my vision is. But I really do think if you can, on your feet, work with the script, work with the actors, see opportunities, that's someone who is more in the moment. And I think is always trying to better the film rather than just exercising, executing what you had in mind. So I say keep doing that.
Thank you. Next, the merry-go-round, or whatever it's called.
Did you see this on Mythbusters?
I was just about to bring
Mythbusters sorry.
So yeah, there's a scene where he goes to leave the baby at the park because he's already gotten out of danger. He doesn't want to get involved. But the bad guys show up sniping. They snipe some poor lady. But he has to make sure they don't snipe the baby. So Clive Owen is running and shooting the merry-go-round to make it go faster. Apparently,
and then it's harder for the sniper to line up the shot. The baby's moving.
Now, in this movie that opens with a man being impaled with a carrot through his neck, Mythbusters decide
through his eyeball, actually, I think.
No, it was through his neck. It was through his neck.
Okay, I forget.
Hold on, I got the slide, Mike.
Totally improbable.
There it is, right there.
But you're right. Maybe you're right. That's totally impossible. Who came up with that?
They felt the need to pull apart this scene of him shooting the merry-go-round and spinning it around.
And what did they come up with?
What was it? It was like
I can tell you, but I want to see whether I want to give you the thunder.
I think it was depending on like the caliber or something. I think they tried it with handguns and it didn't work. But what was the
they said that it could move a little bit, but it wouldn't spin like this. Resistance, and they did everything possible to lube up that carousel to give it every opportunity. But it kind of has a Rube Goldberg movie physics that you would believe it, right?
Oh yeah, no, like you go into this movie, that first action scene, you're like, okay, I am in a Looney Tunes world. I don't care about realism.
The thing about it is that if I had like a lot of these movies, like even if you look like Casino Royale, which is really good, all right?
Yeah.
It has the opening parkour, right? Mm-hmm. Then it has the big scene with the truck at the airport, right?
Yeah.
Going into the big plane. And then the other big sequence, really, there's a couple little gunfights or little things, in a hallway. And then you have the whole thing with the building collapsing in Venice. Basically 3 sequences, right?
Yeah.
And the rest was talk.
Yeah.
Well, if I had done 3 sequences and they were over the top, maybe, the movie wouldn't have seemed so Looney Tunes. But I wanted to make like Run, Lola, Run with a gun. I just wanted to pack the fun stuff. And so the insane thing is it's just one, like you think you've seen it all, and then you get another scene and another scene. And that's what creates this total absurdity. But if it wasn't like this, the movie wouldn't be as fun as it is.
No, and that's what sets it apart from the other films. Like I'm just invested the entire time. And like, I do like trying to figure out the mystery of why they want this baby, but those scenes don't linger for too long to the point
But you
where
know what? That's a really great compliment because it is actually a very simple plot, right?
yeah,
And everybody, some of the reviews, oh, it has a convoluted plot or the plot doesn't make sense. No, the plot is actually really simple and really streamlined. But
yeah,
people just because they're not watching it for the story or the
yeah,
detective work, they say that. But it totally works. But it's in some ways you should criticize it as being too simplistic, right?
mm,
But it
yeah,
makes sense. I mean, the biggest thing is when your mystery is why do they want to kill this baby? Why would they want to kill a baby? And then it kind of all makes sense. You could really figure it out once they go to the place above the heavy metal club.
yes, which is where the baby learned to love heavy metal because he listened
because
to
it
it in
heard it
the
thumping
womb.
all the time.
Yeah.
But
This
so
is
I really like the fact that you followed the plot and you were trying to figure out
yeah,
the plot. You weren't like being this, whoa,
yeah. But it wasn't like they were nice breaks between the action. It didn't feel like it was screeching to a halt or if it was like a bathroom break scene.
Yeah.
No, it kept me interested, but it always knew when to go right back to the action.
Well, I
One of
mean, my favorite things is that because we all hate politicians, and he ends up being the politician that's
Yeah.
a clue, but it's covered with the poop because he was using the newspaper as the diaper. I always like
Yeah.
that. Is it triggered something in his head to shit on the guy's face? And then I also liked him using the trigger guard as like a engagement ring, which was so hard-boiled romance.
That was so funny.
I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah. I love this scene here because Paul Giamatti is a great bad guy in this. So he's hired by the main bad guys.
Yeah.
But he's very hands-on. He even says like he's dragging a body, and they're like, you don't have to do that. He's like, no, I'm part of the team here. Like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, he says he has the line: "A leader that leads from the rear takes it in the rear." Right? It's philosophy because in most movies,
Yeah.
the bad guy is always letting his heavies do it, and he only fights the bad guy at the end. But he's out front leading, which I think is really cool. And so in the movie, even though it's outrageous action and it kind of has fun with the tropes of the genre, there's another thing. You know how I like it where somebody says, well, we just need to tell somebody at the newspaper or call this person.
Oh, yeah. He's pointing out the cliches.
And then, but he goes, you know how it always happens. You call that one guy and they're in on it and they betray you. So I called a fuckload of people and told them what's going on because at least one of them is going to be honest and our story's going to get out and we're going to be saved. And I kind of like that because it's like, wouldn't you in real life, if you were under, you'd call your mom, your dad, the newspaper, CNN, the FBI, everybody. Why would you just call one person?
Well, Michael, if this was me, I wouldn't have gotten involved at all. I would have saw that lady running and I would be like, not my problem. I'm out here. And I would read about it in the news. I'd be like, oh, that poor lady. If only someone did something. Not me, of course. I had other stuff to do.
But you know, the thing what I like about that beginning is, you know, a lot of directors or a lot of screenwriters, they miss the opportunity of saying something about even the smallest character that you're only going to see for 2 minutes or whatever. And I love the guy that chases the woman at the very beginning. And when he gets out of his car, he opens it, and all these Slurpee, snack wrappers and tin cans and soda cans come out because I have my passenger seat is full of crap. Right?
Mine is too. And it's always embarrassing when I got to drive.
Who that guy is just from that, and it's funny, and it's real, and it's like it's better than just a normal asshole getting out of a car. And I always try to think, what can I do that's very simple and very efficient, but kind of enhances the movie.
Which circles back to Paul Giamatti. One of the reasons I like this is because all the characters have many traits to them, like little quirks and stuff that make them feel like characters. Like Paul Giamatti, he's very smart. He goes into his background. We know that he's having issues with his wife.
Yeah, he's got to get back to his son's birthday party.
Yeah, but I love that he's just like, he will recognize when things are going bad. So you have this scene where he falls down. And he's just annihilating everyone. And Paul Giamatti's like, he's like, is he really that good or do we just really suck?
And it really says it with such commitment, like he's in the movie. We know it's a funny line, but he doesn't make like a lot of like some people say, I hate the word camp because that's like, Blazing Saddles or whatever. And so the
Yeah.
movie's not camp, but it is aware of itself, and it's aware. But as long as the characters believe the world that they're in, it's not camp if they're committed to it. And he
Yes.
was so committed.
Which is what I try to do at Mummy Cop, because that was a world where a cop is a mummy, the district attorney is Dracula, but like it wasn't a big deal. Everyone was on board with it. They're like, well, obviously that's Frankenfed. He's the FBI guy who's a Frankenstein.
I always love stuff like that.
And the fact that their monsters only came up like randomly, like when it absolutely needed to.
Yeah.
But you're right. As long as the characters are being like, it reminds me of like the old Batman. Like it's very silly, the 60s one, but all the characters are taking it very seriously, which makes it funnier.
Well, you know what's so funny? When I used to love that show, and as a kid, I never thought that the show was being campy or funny because I was so young, right? And back then, come on, for 60s TV, the art direction of the Batcave was really good.
Yeah.
The art direction of the Batmobile was unbelievable. And I actually think, Adam West could have used more armor. But if you look at Adam West, there was a short time that they considered Adam West to play James Bond. He does have a great champagne hero look to him.
He does.
Right? And as a kid, I didn't see all the campiness to it, you know?
Well, that's why it's one of those shows that gets better with age, because like you enjoy it legitimately as a kid, and then you get older and realize it's a comedy and you enjoy it in a whole different way.
Or, you think about, I remember the first woman I fell in love with was Catwoman, because, man, that form-fitting outfit was about the sexiest thing I'd ever seen.
Which Catwoman? Yvonne Craig, Julie Newmar, or Eartha Kitt? Which one?
All of them except for Eartha Kitt, I think.
Okay. This next scene, sex scene shootout, where Clive Owen is so good at sex that Monica Bellucci will not stop having sex, even though there are guns going off left and right.
It's such a great idea.
Which they tried to do this in another movie,
Drive Angry, and it was
Nicolas
only like
Cage.
a year later, and it was not as good. And I understand taking ripping off a movie, but I don't really think you should do it a year and a half after the previous scene. So outrageous,
It just wasn't. It wasn't as good as this anyway.
Well, because he wasn't sexy, and he was just. It wasn't even with the main girl, right? It was just some other.
Oh woman. Yeah, it was some random girl.
And I'm like, I always don't like. I just watched that recently. That scene, and I like it when the character does something clever because he has to do something clever. But in this movie, the character comes in with an axe, and so Nick Cage shoots the axe, so the axe goes back and axes him in the head. Yeah, but he didn't have to do that. It seems clever, but it's not. He could have just shot the guy in the head. It's not like in the end of Shoot 'Em Up where I think it is that he's around the corner of the diner and
so
he has
shooting a guy
hand. So he moves the hand, so it's aiming at somebody else, and then he shoots the guy's finger that shoots the gun. He has to do all those things because he's around the corner and he doesn't have a clear shot. He has to do the clever thing. But when you do the clever thing that doesn't need to be done, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb. But this is great. This is the moment in the theater where me and my friends just lost our shit. We're like, no fucking way. Really? They're doing this? I'm like, this just when you thought the movie couldn't get more ridiculous, it does. And I love the blue screen helicopter.
I totally regret the fact that the company that we hired, we had to use we got tax breaks in Canada. And so there were only a couple of visual effects companies in Toronto. And one of them, there was the other effects company was really good at doing like these macro shots of amoebas I wish I could tell you the name of the filmmaker, and they had no real thing with experience with green. I had this other company, and they didn't tell us they were making their own feature in-house, and this was like we were the bastard stepchild, even though they made us, and they just didn't do they didn't have the skill set, and we didn't have the money. Maybe we had the money, they just couldn't do it right. And the other thing that was really frustrating to me is the woman at New Line who was the hiring of some of the crew members. I wanted to use this guy, Joe Grossberg, who was one of the visual effects supervisors on The Mummy, and he was a really good friend of mine. And he asked her, he wasn't asking for more money, but he wanted to have a mid-sized car, not a small-sized car in Toronto, and he wanted a credit that was in the one sheet.
Okay.
And she wouldn't give it to him, right? And so I was without a visual effects supervisor up until a week before production. So not only did I storyboard the movie and direct it, right?
Yeah.
I went through the budget, the line items of these bids about every shot. And that's not my job.
Yeah.
That's not my experience. And I kept asking people, hey, they used a certain kind of gyro device on a Superman movie or on a Keanu Reeves movie. Can we figure out maybe this is what we need to do rather than hanging Clive on wires for all day long? And I also had ideas of maybe we could just lay Clive down like on an Apple box and we could move the camera around him to create this feeling of motion and going whooshing past screen. And what about digital doubles and all these things, right? And I could never get any help on it. And the ideas in this scene are really great, but it's not as well executed as I wish, and it really frustrates me. Sorry, I went off on it.
No, it's okay. In the time you've
talked about that anywhere,
Michael, the time you've done that, apparently my Twitch has been suspended.
Because did I say too many F words?
No, I don't think so. I don't know what the hell happened there. Was there that trailer? Was there any copyright music in that trailer?
No. Well, no. I mean,
well, we'll figure out. Oh, 7 days.
The people that were watching on Twitch, did they get?
Wait, no, I got it here. It was the picture of Monica Bellucci. Even though it wasn't nudity, I specifically picked
that you can't do that.
Apparently,
I'm glad it wasn't me that hurt you there.
7 day suspension. That's nothing. All right, sorry about that. I recently, my Godzilla channel got deleted from YouTube for no reason. So I was like, here we go again.
It was so funny. I don't know if this is interesting, but there have been sometimes like I would place these ads that I want to boost on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And before I boost it, it's not doing great, but I'm getting like a couple hundred views.
Yeah.
But then I asked to boost it, right? And then they say, no, we're not going to boost it for you. And then they turn off the faucet so it doesn't get anything. But and what I determined is that I had a little piece of shoot 'em up and I could use Clive shooting, but if I showed a real human getting shot, they don't like that on TikTok. But when I have aliens being shot in my Blast 'em Up trailer, they have no problem with it. So I would recut it and it would pass. But they sometimes say you can't use this. They never even tell you why. I think it's a computer that is.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened with this, but that's funny. All right, if it's 7 days, I don't care if it's 7 days. Okay. I just thought that was funny. I'm like, wait,
we lost all those audiences and all those guys that might go for the Kickstarter. It's a good thing we pitched it at the beginning.
Thank God we did it at the beginning. You're right.
That's right. Thank God.
No, I was literally looking at the chat because StreamYard doesn't highlight like when people do bits on Twitch, and I just see Twitch log off, and I'm like, "What's that?" It goes, "It's suspended." I'm like, "What the hell is going on?"
Hold on, I'm going to adjust my garage door because the light is doing a weird thing. I just have to block up the sunlight. There's my little movie studio there. Back with you now, right? Oh, that's okay. All right. Cool.
Okay. So you're right. The visual effects aren't the best, but at this point in the film, you're kind of like in on the cartoonish.
And I hope people, if it's a creative idea, wouldn't you rather have the creative idea than it not in the movie?
Yes. But I do love this moment where he's unaware of the helicopter. It just gets
Well, this is one of the rare things that in my movie, in my storyboards, I didn't do the hand that flops at you.
Yeah.
And somebody actually did something added to the movie that I go, that was great. I'm glad they did that. I didn't have to direct that or ask for that.
That was smart.
Yeah.
And then the very end with the final showdown where he literally uses his hand as a gun. It's like the ultimate moment for the character. Like I've run out of guns.
It is, in screenwriting, they say this, whether it's a comedy, especially a comedy, the funniest things are the character's worst nightmare. But you can also apply that to drama. And
Yeah.
here this guy is a gunman with a trigger finger. What would be the worst thing for him to fight if he couldn't, fire a gun pulling the trigger?
Yeah.
I mean, from a dramatic concept, it's a good idea.
It's good. It's
But
good.
it is funny, obviously, but I like funny, fun stuff.
I agree. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that was the great way to like close out the movie. For him
And
to
you know
become
what?
a
Here's
human
the
gun.
other thing is when you're doing the mano a mano bits, right? The scale of that usually is really small, right? You're not going to have big, transport jets or, a gigantic, chase scene or whatever, right? And so how do you make something that's smaller? Like, number one, I hated the last James Bond movie, but
No Time to Die.
Yeah.
That was garbage. They
It's
should have
the
ended it at
worst.
Spectre. Spectre had a great ending, and No Time to Die was absolutely abysmal.
But my point is, they're standing in this basically koi pond, ankle deep in water, shooting at each other, and that's the climax of a Bond movie.
Yeah.
But they have the same problem. It's intimate. It's a small scale. What do you do, right? And they stole that whole bit of the poison garden from the novel You Only Live Twice, where Blofeld had this gigantic castle filled with piranha. You know this thing, right? All these things that could kill you, right? And it was a big deal. But in their movie, they made it like his little hobby project.
Yeah.
But they even then didn't use it in the climax where the two of them are sitting there.
Well, No Time to Die ripped off one of my favorite video games, Siphon Filter.
Oh, I love Siphon Filter. We talked about this last time.
Yes.
I don't get the title Siphon Filter, but I played all of them.
Okay, Michael. On this channel, I had a mini series called Siphon Filter and Friends, where I made a friend. I made a friend watch me play Siphon Filter. Every episode was a new level. The last episode is me talking to the lead game designer of Siphon Filter, and he explains where the title came from.
I'm going to check this out. I missed that. I'm sorry.
Long story short, it was a title left over from an earlier version of the game, and because they already trademarked it, they were stuck with it.
But if it's a bad marketing, I mean, if marketing is everything. I mean, okay.
But anyway, that James Bond movie, the virus that could target you based off like your genetic makeup, like that's Siphon Filter.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you're right.
But yeah, and then the ending, because the whole thing is like, what is the deal with the carrots? And like it plays into the ending when his fingers are broken for that last scene. It's just great.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun. And I have to tell you, so this is the one place that this is one of the few notes I got from the studio is you want to go out with a bang, and we'll give you some money to do something fun. And so, but I do have to tell you, so I don't know. So do you know this guy, Space Ice?
Space Ice? No.
He makes reviews, but he's not like you, where he's you reviewing. He's very, very, very funny. And I do have to say, he called Shoot 'Em Up mankind's greatest achievement. So I love this guy. And so he did a recent piece, and then he said, maybe I'll do another piece.
Yeah.
And he I don't really want to give it away too much, but I ended up finding this Looney Tunes porn, right? and because that diner in at the end looks like a giant nipple, right? And I put that in the foreground, and the Looney Tunes character is licking the nipple diner from Shoot 'Em Up. I don't know where it's too absurd, but keep an eye out for it for Space Ice. He's pretty funny.
I'm gonna check him out. I'm gonna check it out.
Space Ice.
But yeah.
Sorry if I ruined it. Hopefully nobody will see. They'll see how the joke plays out. I'm sorry to.
No, that's fine.
But
yeah, so
even funnier coming up in that too.
So that's some of the stuff I love about Shoot 'Em Up. Again, one day I'll probably do like a proper review. But it was cool to just talk to you about the movie. Because it means a lot to me, this film. It was cool to like pick your brain about it and get like the behind the scenes on it. It's become a cult classic. I feel like people legitimately love it. I see comments in here about people loving it, but they're not super chats, so I'm not going to put them on screen.
Come on, do a super chat. I mean,
do a super chat. I just lost my Twitch. I just lost my Twitch for 7 days for not showing Monica Bellucci's.
I'll give you your money's worth if you have a question on the super chat because I'll go on and on for the money on a super chat.
You can just, by the way, you can ask us anything within reason. Within reason,
We're just not going to show any more bosoms, half bosoms, or side bosoms, right? We don't want to get banned from YouTube, But I mean, Tony, you're the greatest because you have just love and revel in movies and stories more than anybody I've ever seen on the internet. Even look, you're sick, you're feverish, you're hot, and nobody could tell that you're sick.
Well, I did wipe my nose earlier. I tried to lean off screen, but I didn't do a good job. So maybe some people can tell. So blast them up. Okay, I'm guessing this is more of a spiritual sequel, right? Maybe not like a direct follow-up, obviously. So where did the idea for Blast 'em Up come from?
Okay, well, so recently I talked to my Kickstarter coach, and he said, you really should engage people emotionally. Yeah. So I'm going to go back a little bit further. So Shoot 'em Up, people that have seen it love the movie. Yeah. But the movie was not a hit in the theaters.
Look, I did my best. We saw it 3 times. I did my best.
You did your best. I could tell you all the reasons why it didn't succeed from the marketing, or one of the biggest things is the half of my marketing budget was taken away and put into the Golden Compass marketing budget because they knew that movie was going to tank. And they had spent $200 million, and they thought, well, it'd be okay if their smaller movies didn't perform well, but they really wanted to bolster the Golden Compass so all their shareholders wouldn't be so mad at them for spending all that money. And so, like when Shoot 'em Up was supposed to come out in the theaters, normally there is at least a 75% awareness of moviegoers. Not that people are going to go to the movies, but they know that that's a movie coming out this weekend. That's what their marketing is supposed to do. And I was like at 48%. And that is really bad. And then you're not going to get the word of mouth. And I thought it was just so bad. When they put it, they go, "Hey, Michael, the billboards for Shoot 'em Up are up. You should check them out." And I'm like, yeah, but you don't actually have the date of when it comes out on the billboards across the country, right? And so then what they did is they sent somebody out who then pasted on the billboard like the date. But it was such a bad paste job. After a few days, it would start peeling, right? And then it was like a billboard that had been up for 6 months for a movie that had come and gone because it made it look even worse, right? And it's just like, I told the publicity department at New Line, hey, all the video game magazines have a calendar of genre things coming out, from movies, DVDs, video games. They'll do it for free. They need the content. Will you call all these magazines and tell them my movie's coming? Yeah, we'll do that. I had my own publicist. And I said, will you call all the video games as an easy publicity? And my game is like a shoot 'em up video game. Yeah, we'll do it. Nope, didn't do it. And I'm like, it's free. And they're paid to do this. It's like a 20-minute job to email or call all these places. And they didn't do it. Anyway, a whole bunch of things. But I should, but now I should go. I mean, I don't. So the thing is after the movie, if your movie doesn't perform, you go into what is called director's jail. Right? Okay. And if I had other hits, I could have weathered it. But the fact of the matter is that I made this movie and it didn't do that well. And so it was hard to get hired. I could take meetings. Like I went in and pitched Red 2. And the EP called my agent and goes, well, that's about the best director's pitch I've ever seen. But, I can't hire Michael. So why'd you have me come in and waste all my time pitching you? Yeah. But we can't hire Michael because his movie didn't do well. And my boss is not going to take 90 minutes to look at Shoot 'em Up and see how awesome it is. Right? And he's just going to ask how it did in the theaters. So that's how the thing. They'll waste your time. I'll spend like 3 weeks doing an awesome pitch, the best pitch he's ever seen in his life, right? But they're not going to hire me. But they're welcome to waste my time. And so I got a couple pilot scripts and all this stuff. But it was I did this dream project, and then it turned into something that and so anyway, I ended up pivoting, and I made an animated feature all by myself called Nixed. Do you know what this Annecy International Film Festival is? I
don't know what the festival is, but I have.
It's the biggest animation film festival in the world, right? Yeah. And I animated the thing all by myself, right? Yes. The one on the left, right? And I loved it. It was a total auteur experience, and I drew it. But then I taught myself CGI. and because I thought I could get a higher production value. And I thought, I want to make another feature all by myself, total independent filmmaking. And I thought about maybe doing a sequel to Shoot 'em Up, but then I had to do the whole bullshit thing, going to the studios, trying to get the rights, and it's a whole rigmarole. And that's one of the reasons I animate now, is that I can be this total crazy guy without any encumbered. And so I told you at the beginning, I love Star Wars. I love aliens. I love robots. I even love the production design of spaceships. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
And so I said, why don't I do something that's just like Shoot 'em Up with all the crazy action, but instead of shooting with blasters, it's with guns, it's with blasters. But I actually have this really cool thing. The character in the movie actually wields a blaster and an old-fashioned Colt 45.
Yeah.
And actually, by shooting both a bullet and a blaster, helps them in multiple situations, which I think is really interesting. But so I guess the point I want to make is that I don't care about money. I just want to make stuff. I want to still make crazy, fun action stuff. Yeah. And the only way I can do it is basically if I do it myself. But with CGI, my imagination is not encumbered by a budget. And so I'm asking people to help me so I can actually pay the actors, pay the mocap actors, get a mocap stage, but everything else, everything in this thing, I modeled the characters, I lit everything, I built the sets, I animated, I did the camera moves. And the other thing, this is kind of a side note, but hopefully people will feel like, hey, I want to help Michael out. Yeah. All the lines of dialogue in here are Clive Owen lines of dialogue, but they never did appear in any movie because he did a series of commercials in Britain, and I took lines from them and made them fit into my trailer.
Oh, that's funny.
And actually, it's not the greatest, but I also could take a little bit of his body motion, and there's now software where you can take 2D video and it can translate it into 3D mocap. And so this is actually Clive's body language in the shot that you have up here. Anyway.
I want to just know, because we were talking about Siphon Filter. He does kind of look like Gabe Logan from Siphon Filter.
Yeah,
so
totally.
which I'm on board with.
Yeah. It looks a bit like Clive, but not totally like Clive. But, but this guy here on the left, if you saw more of him, was sort of like an Idris Elba. And, but let me ask you this. Okay, so finally I've been able to turn the tide. There's a character in the movie named Tony Dammit, right?
Okay.
Because every line he says, it's like, hey, Tony, how you doing, damn it, right? Or, I don't know how to do it, damn it, right? So it's Tony Dammit. And I always thought if I was doing a Kickstarter, maybe, you know who this guy Markiplier is?
Oh, yeah. My co-host Johanna loves Markiplier.
Okay, so I thought he wants to be an actor. He's done a couple little long-form things. He's working on a movie. I thought, what if I got Markiplier to be it? And then he could help promote the Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
And so, but there are a number of people who go, you can't use Markiplier in the video. That's against the law. And I'm like, no, I called his agent. I called his manager. I emailed him. I tagged him. I followed him. whatever. And I just want him to see it and say yay or nay. But I can, with the thing that's amazing with the software, if I wanted to, like I did a Blast 'em Up trailer with Nick Cage. Yeah. With one click of a button, I can put my Nick Cage avatar into the shot. And it will be Nick Cage. So I can very easily change the Markiplier shots. Yeah. So I was trying to find a way to engage the community.
Like get his interest in it, yeah.
But I was surprised how many people were upset by that. Not many, but like 15 people. And I'm like, would you like to see? Why don't you help me get him? And when I did mixed, I taught myself Pro Tools. I did the whole sound design myself. And obviously, when I do the movie, I'm going to create my own sounds for the spaceships, own sounds for blasters. But because I'm doing everything myself right now, I put in a couple of public domain Star Wars sound effects.
I heard the squeal that sounds like the xenomorphs and aliens getting shot.
Yeah. And I've had people on the internet saying, "Oh, you can't use that TIE fighter sound." And the most amazing thing, the guy I ended up befriending initially, finally, but in my logo of Blast 'em Up, I have like the T is basically this gun, right? It's a profile of a gun from Star Wars, but it's made very graphic. Yeah. And he said, you stole that from Star Wars. You can't use that in your logo. And I'm like, who has time to look at the blah, 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 blah? And I'm like, okay, but I'm one guy. Why are you crucifying me? I'm a one-man, passionate guy who wants to make a sci-fi shoot 'em up for everybody's entertainment. And the animation, I think, is at least a little bit better than like the Bad Batch. And please support me, right? And the best level, there's only 6 levels, but there's a level 4 that not only do you get the weekly updates, you're going to get my info blasts, which are my weekly 50 things about the film business, that secrets you don't know. But then there's one where you get the VIP weekly VIP video live, where you can ask me questions and I tell you how, if you want to know exactly how I do it or the software, anyway, that would be the best one to join. But there are a lot of them, and I don't know if you want to do it. This might be a good time. You can even be a character in the movie.
I was just going to say, you were talking about getting actors, but I think you have one of the master thespians of our generation here.
Can we see?
Yes, let's see it. Let's see it. Here we go. Here's
you can be a character in the movie on one of the reward tiers.
Here we go.
Italians are not fish. We are people. We are not animals.
So you got that from a short I did with Trisha.
Yes,
we're gonna play that again.
Great.
We're gonna play it again.
Italians are not fish. We are people. We are not animals.
Now, just a few comments. Awesome. Just a few comments. You did this a while ago, so you accurately predicted that I was going to get buff. Thank you for predicting that.
No, I thought you were buff back then.
Well, you're a liar. I am buff now. However, my face is thinned out, so we need to fix the face a little bit.
Right. You're totally right. The body.
I've been making an effort. Sometimes I forget to shave the neck beard, but other than that, this is
definitely, you would have to be reduced here so your cheekbones look like strongman.
Yes.
There. But that's the thing, is that the software that I'm using is so amazing. Like, everything is pre-rigged. If you guys use it, it's iClone 8 and Character Creator 4. And what they do is they have all these dials, like cheeks bigger, nose thinner, double chin, less double chin, eyebrows higher. And it has everything pre-rigged that once you do it with your dials, you just put it in the software and it's all ready to go for expressions, lip sync.
Nice.
It has all the blend shapes. You can buy costumes that automatically fit and move with them. I mean, that's basically like I had a regular character and then I have this great spacesuit that I just popped on. It's the I guess when I would love for people to learn what I've learned so they could make their own indie movies. And part of my rewards are about teaching people as I'm making the movie. If you have a great script, if you have even no experience making animation, you can do what I do. And you could learn something to do something like this in a weekend or less.
Well, that's great. And I mean, for the audio listeners listening to this later, you're going to want to watch this video of probably the greatest animation of all time. Want me
to post it now? No, I didn't post it.
Yeah, you can post it. You can post it.
And I'll make a promo for it so people
can
see it.
But yeah, this character here, I don't know if you have a name for him yet, but I feel like 10 years from now, people are going to be like Darth Vader, Captain Kirk, that guy Tony played and blast him up. It's going to be up there with the rest of them.
Well, I will consult with you about the name of the character because it has to be good,
Okay. But no, what I like is that you have experience with animation. You've done an animated movie before, so that gives me a lot of confidence.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty outside the box. I have a sales agent now, but it went to Annecy, the most prestigious animation festival in the world. And we'll see. But you can see clips of that on, if you just search.
Oh, you got Toby. You got Toby Husson next.
Toby is so great. He plays Frank Sinatra. Because he used to do his Frank Sinatra show, right?
Yeah. That's great.
I love Toby.
But I like that you have experience with this. You've already animated before, so it gives me confidence. Mike,
Yuri Lowenthal. Do you guys know who Yuri Lowenthal is? The big actor from Naruto, voice actor from Naruto.
That I don't know. I'm sorry.
Do your fans know?
I'm sure they know. I'm sure some of these guys know.
Do those guys know the Cowboy Bebop anime?
They probably do.
I won't bore you with you'll have to join the Kickstarter so I can tell you my Steve Bloom voice of Spike Spiegel story.
But yes, this is great. You know, unfortunately, I had another guy on the show a while back. He plugged his Kickstarter, and it got over $118,000. My good friend Vito, and he hasn't made the comic yet. He's on Twitter complaining about Star Wars and I don't know, video game girl not being hot. So that was
Wow.
a failure. But you know what you're doing. You've actually made movies
All
before.
I want to do is deliver to people.
You're not going to let us down like Vito Giswaldi let us
No.
down.
I mean, come on.
No. And
I'm the guy that, you know, like you saw all the animation I did to sell shoot 'em up, right?
Yes.
And I mean, if you go to the website, I mean, it's pretty elegant. I'm a freaking hard worker.
Yes,
and the
you're
last
showing.
thing I would hate for people to think that douchebag Michael Davis didn't do it.
You're showing progress on your stuff. He's fighting with people on Twitter and crying on live streams. Anyway, that's my jab at Vito Giswaldi. This sounds great. This is exciting. Everyone should go check out the Kickstarter campaign.
And I'm gonna do the whole spiel. There's a link in probably Tony's description of the show. And if you can't find it there, or you want to just do it another way, go to blastemup.com and there's a big link for the Kickstarter.
And guys, get your super chats in. We have a couple. Unfortunately, we don't have any Twitch bits.
I know, that's a drag.
I've never been suspended for. By the way, I played raunchy games on Twitch. I don't know why Monica Bellucci's censored boobs was one of them.
It must have been they thought it was a full boob. They didn't analyze the pixels right.
Yeah. Okay, so this one from The Flail for $2. One of the best movies. Thank you for your work. Okay.
You know what? We have to give Flail, that's $2, right? Number one, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I really, it makes my day when somebody says they had the greatest time at the movies, at seeing the movie. And I really appreciate your support. I don't know where I can find you, The Flail, but I'm gonna try to check you out after this.
He is on Instagram. He's made us custom plushies. Maybe you can make one for Blast Him Up. I don't know. You'd have to talk to him about that.
I'm going to check you out after. I'm actually going to screenshot this right now. So I don't. Yeah, there you are. I'm going to find you, the Flail.
Flail, I'm going to help you out. Hold on. Actually, speaking of Flail, he donated again. Did Paul improv the boob scene, or was it written? Paul Giamatti broken the girl.
I would rather ask him. Does he think that it was improv or was it written? What does he think? And then I'll answer. Can you type in the Flail? Did you type in?
I will check if he typed in a minute. By the way, Instagram, _Flail. That's where you can find his work.
All right, I'm going to answer it. All right. I'm a sick puppy. It was written in the script. I didn't ask him to do that, right? But I actually, the girl was pretty cute too, so it was not too much of a hardship. Although somewhere somebody told me that Paul had said that he thought I was a little bit of a weird guy for having that in the script, right?
Why would he say that about you? Where did he get that idea?
I think it was because I did 2 takes of it, and he thought he did it just right in the first take. And maybe I was some weird guy by asking him to do it a second time. I always got nervous that what if the camera had a scratch or whatever. I always wanted to have a backup take because I'm
always do one for safety. Always.
But I think he thought he nailed it in the first one, and I thought he was like this weird Michael Davis wants a second take.
No, if you had done 50 takes, that's when it's like, okay, buddy, I think we got this one.
Yeah. But
you're not Stanley Kubrick, all right? We're not going to be here all day doing the boob touching scene. Limp Wang for $1.99. Love you, Tony. How would you direct Fury Road 3? Wow. I'm glad you think that I have a chance of writing and directing George Miller's Mad Max universe. I don't know. I'd probably get away from Furiosa in the Citadel because we've seen it. I want to see something else in the Wasteland. That's a good question. I don't know.
What I want to go in is the fact, number one, you understand entertainment. You understand film structure. You understand entertainment.
Yeah.
I think you could write a legitimate Fury Road if you were given the job. I think
Yeah, I just don't think I'm
but
getting
I
don't think I'm getting
you're
that
not going
job.
to because of the politics. Like they only hire big time writers.
Yeah.
But I think you could write a really good one, a way better one than the Road Warrior is the very best one,
Yeah.
and all the other ones to me don't compare.
I mean, I like pretty much all of them, even the new one I like, although not as much as the previous one. But yeah, Road Warrior is still phenomenal. I put Road Warrior on all the time. Although we talked about it in the last live wrap up, like Beyond Thunderdome is kind of my favorite because I'm nostalgic for it. It was my introduction. I'm aware it's not the best. I'm aware it's not the best, and I will never argue that.
It's like but when you went to see it, you love Road Warrior so much because the great thing about Road Warrior is that most people didn't know Mad Max. It was the first one.
Yeah.
And nobody really knew Mel Gibson then. And
you
didn't know what it was going to be, right? And then the movie over-delivered from your expectations. The way you're too young to have gone to see Star Wars when it first came out in the theater. But I have to tell you, it's a transformative experience if you had ever been that young with nothing else like it out there. And Road Warrior had that very fresh, like The Matrix. Like you didn't know what The Matrix was, and it blew you away.
That I did see in theaters. That I did experience. But
and it was amazing. I mean, for me, the Holy Trinity is James Bond, Neo, and Indiana Jones.
Okay. Brett Norman for $5. Tony, follow your dreams. That's not really a question, but thank you, Brett Norman, and I will.
I think he's saying that you shouldn't be supportive of yourself to do like writing Fury Road. I mean, I have to tell you, it's really hard to do multiple things. Most screenwriters, when they start out, have a day job and then they write their screenplays. But you have multiple things going on besides all of your shows, right?
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's hard to make it in the film business if you don't live in LA. And that would also be a big thing. But from a skill set, I think you do have the talent and the sensibility that you could write something awesome. But the harder thing is how do you get it made?
Yeah. By the way, my inner 18-year-old Tony is listening to this right now. I'm like, wait, the guy who made Shoot 'Em Up says I'm awesome.
But it's true. I mean, but the other thing is I love people that are creative and say, I'm going to do something. I'm going to create something out of nothing. And I'm going to be my own boss, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to do something that I love. And so Brett, he is following his dreams. He's just saying, you'll follow your dreams plus is what you're saying.
Thank you. All right, guys, get your super chats in. While we're waiting, if there's any more coming in, what you got? Michael, let us know where we can find you. What are your socials? We already covered the Kickstarter.
So it's like MP Davis 007 on Instagram. I think I should know this. On X, Twitter, it's MP Davis Agent 007.
Okay.
And on TikTok, it's Blast 'Em Up Movie, right? But if you really, you can also find me at, you know what? I told people, if you have questions and you want to email me, go to user@blastemup.com. I love getting emails. I love to engage. I love to answer your questions. Just go to user@blastemup.com. You can find that email at the blastemup.com website. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Email me. I try to respond to every one of them because I have a fear of being known as a douchebag or that douchebag didn't write me back.
Oh, you have a fear of that? I
don't want to be a douchebag. Everything in my life is based on being the non-douchebag. I like to be followed through because there's so many Hollywood douchebags. That's why I'm animating now because I've had so many terrible experiences with these people, right?
Yeah.
Like, can I tell you one of my worst experience?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I actually got the rights from Konami to write the Dance Dance Revolution. Okay.
They were going to make a DDR movie?
I created a fantastic DDR movie. And the Japanese hardly ever give Americans rights. They keep saying maybe, but they'll never give you the rights. They gave me a like an option for free for a year. And I created this amazing time travel DDR dance movie where a character in our future lives in a world where music and dance have been banned. It's really
Oh,
draconian.
it's
And
like
there's this,
Footloose gone global.
that's right. And the kid has to go to the undercity that's all decrepit to dance by himself so he won't get arrested. And he comes across he finds these weird shoes, right? They're the DeLorean of shoes. They're time travel dance shoes. And if he dances in a certain combination, sort of like the DDR pads, he can time travel.
Whoa!
And he goes back in time to our time, where everybody loves dancing. Their clubs. He even thinks, like, you know how you go buy used cars and they have those balloons that kind of flow, right? Everything's about dance, right?
Yeah.
And but he's followed by these giant robots that are like Transformers. Anyway, he falls in love with this girl, right? And it all worked out. But at the very end, he has to go back home, right? But he has to say goodbye to the girl he loves. But by this time, the whole world has watched the lovers be pursued, and that they now know their story. And they do this dance, this romantic dance to say goodbye. And it's so infectious that everybody in the world who's following it on CNN or the big thing in Times Square starts dancing just like them, because they create a worldwide dance revolution, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
And so then he goes back to the future. But because they had this experience in our time, and so many people saw them and danced, they created such a love for dance and music. They changed the future, his future. So when he gets back, it's not this draconian, right? It's everybody's dancing and everybody's happy, right? So I created this pitch video that was awesome. And we pitched to Konami in North America, down in Long Beach or whatever. And they loved it. And they said, we've never seen a pitch like this. We love it, but you have to go pitch in Japan, because we can't make the decision. So I actually was going to Japan on another project, and I pitched a Konami in Japan by myself, right?
Okay.
And they said yes in the room, right?
Okay.
And my executive, who had brought me the project and the idea of the project initially, right? He had been to Konami. He'd been to Konami North America, where I played the video. I had shown him the video at my office. I'd shown the video twice to him and his boss. He'd seen everything. He knew the whole story, right? So then I have to flesh it out. I just have this, pitch video. I have to write a longer treatment of how it's going to work. And then we're going to go, pitch it to different studios. So a month after I got back from Japan, I'm pitching him. And I'm telling him the whole story that I've worked out. And his first comment to me is, I didn't know this movie had time travel in it. Right? At this point, I was such committed. I go, I said to him, I said, you either are totally on drugs or you are just plain stupid. You are stupid. And he was so hurt, right? And I'm like, but it was the stupidest thing. And he wasn't even stupid enough to go, I don't know, I had a brain fart. He could have rallied, but he didn't even rally. He was just like totally didn't realize. And then I said to him, you've seen the trailer at the video I pitched that you brought to your boss 4 or 5 times. You've seen it, right? And you loved it. And it's all about time travel. How come you can't remember? And then if you didn't want time travel, the time to tell me was the first time I showed you. And and the reason he was upset is he was one of these guys saying, well, time travels are really hard to make and really hard to sell. So it was all about the selling. Well, then why didn't he just have me stop way back rather than jump through all these hurdles? And
I have no idea
enough to rally or go, I don't know what I was thinking, Michael. And he just compelled me to tell him that he's stupid.
I probably shouldn't have done that, but that guy was being pretty stupid.
Anyway, I don't know why. I mean, I tried to be positive mostly, but
you guys would have seen.
I'm doing animation, so nobody can stop me.
Well, look, I'm looking at movies by Konami, and the only ones that are really sticking out are the Silent Hill movies, and I guess the Castlevania Netflix series. I'm not familiar with anything else.
Right.
You should go back to them. I think it's time. Be like, hey guys, we're gonna get it right this time. Here's my time.
Somebody got the Contra. They got the rights to Contra, which would have been really cool.
Ooh, nice. We have another.
They didn't know how to pitch.
We have another super chat here for $5. The Flute Wizard. Saw
What-
shoot 'em up. Oh, sorry.
No,
Oh.
go on, read it, and then I'll tell you my answer.
Saw shoot 'em up recently. Loved it. Had me engaged the whole way through. If you need mystical flute sounds for Blast 'em Up, I'm your guy. Seriously.
Okay, Flute Wizard, number one, I have to concentrate on my sound design because I already told you about these people that were
Yeah.
upset about my TIE fighter sounds. Write me at user@blastemup.com. Send me some stuff because there might be a place that is the exact appropriate type of music, or there's a way to blend it with some other stuff to create something new. I would be very intrigued. So please, I'd love to hear it. And also you never know, I might make something else, but mystical flute sounds pretty rocking. Seriously.
So yeah, I believe that is it. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming out and doing this. This was a great time.
You. And if I can ever do anything to help you, just let me know. You've been a really great pal
Yeah,
to
definitely.
have me on. And
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got to do
I will
this.
send you out when we make the movie.
Thank
I'll
you.
send you the different designs.
And
we'll
now I have-
modify it, and
now
you'll
I
have to
have-
approve it.
Now I have more of a reason to be thin, so you don't have to redesign the model.
No, remind you. But no, well, number one, I want you to feel that the character is awesome and you love how awesome you are in the movie.
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to achieve. And so
Okay.
we'll get there.
Awesome. All right, guys, that is it from us. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to follow the Blast 'em Up Kickstarter. Make sure to follow my Patreon for all that cool stuff I'm uploading. And I'm going to down a bunch of tea and Benadryl, and I'm going to go to sleep now. Goodbye, everyone.
You're a hero.